Lemon Amiga presents a Playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Welcome to another Lemon Amiga play guide and review. This time we'll be checking out Dark Seed on the CD32. This was developed and published by Cyberdreams, originally released in time for Christmas 1992, and the CD32 version came along in September 1994. This review was requested by Kim Lemon. On that title screen we can see some of the makers and some of the producers. It was designed by Mike Cranford and Mike Dawson, their only game on the Amiga, and the code was another Mike, Michael DiMambro, who also worked on the Lords of War game, which was a Warlords conversion from the Atari 2600, which appeared on the Amiga in 1998. And Michael also worked on the code for Island of Lost Hope in 1989.
That sure was some nightmare. It even left me with a monster headache.
At the beginning of Dark Seed, all we've got is a nasty headache, and we've just woken up from a nightmare. This is our new home, and this guy has a monstrous nightmare. You can see this guy looks very much like Dave Haney to me, and anybody who's familiar with Dave Haney on the Amiga, this was always, to my mind, a tribute to him. It's probably not, but it always looked like Dave. So let's wander into that bathroom, and the guy will complain that he's got a nasty headache until you sort it out. So let's head into that bathroom and let's get washed up.
There's an empty glass.
After you've taken those painkillers, it's time to take a shower, and just like the fascination game, we can dive into the shower before this even starts.
An old-fashioned shower stall. That's the hot water heater gurgling.
Now that we're free of that headache and we're also clean as well, we can explore the rest of this house, and some elements are time critical, as we'll find out later on, and if you just played this game for the first time, you'll be expected to look around every single one of these places and investigate them, but there is nothing in this area, there's nothing in these rooms except for the one item that we need, and that item, if we hunt around this jacket, is in the jacket pocket.
Here's an old trench coat. I wouldn't be caught dead in that thing. There is a bulge in the pocket of the trench coat.
And you will have to wave your pointer around that pixel perfect to find the exact spot in the trench coat to find that pocket. We've now found a small library card. And by looking at that, we can see Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien, and you can see that that's what we've checked out of the library. That will come in handy a bit later on. And I've played this game many times for this review on lots of different conversions. You might notice the CD32 version has a different font than the Amiga 1200 version. It's not flickering, and so I've played this game many times, so hopefully I'm familiar enough with this game to give us a guided tour. And one of the first things that I like to do at the beginning of the game is to check out the attic
Items
space.
left over from the previous owner. Some of these windows need to have the glass replaced. A sturdy handle to the trunk.
By pushing this trunk a number of times, we will then reveal one of the most important items in the entire game, and that's a pocket watch. And when the pocket watch appears, you can't really see it on the scenery, you just have to look out for that, and that's one of the things that the reviewers hated about this game.
There's an old pocket watch.
Now that we've spotted that, it's time to pick that up, because we'll definitely need the pocket watch if we are about to get anywhere in this game, and that will become vital, as you are about to see. By selecting that, we can wind it up and we can look at the time as well, and it's now 8:47 AM on day 1. We've got 3 days to complete this mission, and so it's early in the morning on the first day, and this is my attempt to try to get through it. This game was created by Cyberdreams, which was a Californian company. They came from Calabasas, which is in California near LA, and San Fernando Valley. So this being an NTSC game, I'm playing this in NTSC, and this is a recent conversion. This is 1.5 of the WHDLoad.
The entrance to this house must have seen countless guests come and go, but it's
Which
just
is
me.
broken, as you will see, but at least it plays this full speed in NTSC, which was how the designers designed it, and it's not quite as fast as the PC version, because we haven't got the PC horsepower, but it is a lot quicker than the normal PAL version. We also get to see these graphics, how they were drawn and how they were intended to be seen in NTSC. So let's check out the bookshelves in this room, and we can also see a floor plan of the entire mansion. It's a good idea to check that out at the start. We can see here that there are secret rooms available, and checking out number 12, there is a secret room, and so if we check out this bookshelf, we might be able to find it.
The walls seem hollow here.
And do you know how I found out about this? Well, I tried to use the money on the secret room, and guess what it said? The money will do nothing to the secret door. So that basically gives away what it is. It's a secret door, so all we should need to do is open that, and that reveals a way towards another item that we'll need.
This secret room is dark and damp.
and it's a good idea to leave the door open at this point, because some of the things that you'll have to do in this game are by the book. And I've watched all the walkthroughs, and I've watched all the long plays and footage, and read all the walkthroughs and the tips available on YouTube, and yes, you have to leave certain doors open and you have to do things by the book, otherwise this game will break, which make it uncompletable. So let's grab this. This is a rope, and that will make our job much easier to escape the mansion.
A heavy twine rope.
Leaving this space, we find ourselves all the way back in the bedroom, and yes, I'm going to leave that door open because that's another thing that you have to do. There's a secret door here. Let's leave that open, and now hopefully we can rush down to the foyer, because we're expecting at 10 o'clock a guy to ring our doorbell, and if we're not there at 10 o'clock, well, we'll hear that doorbell from another part of the mansion, and we have to get to that door pretty quickly in order to answer it. And that's one of the time critical parts of this game. Let's check out the watch, let's see what time it is, and click on that 9:25 AM on day 1. And so we've got the pocket watch. Does that give us some extra time?
That's a chilly draft blowing through this decrepit old living room.
We're still waiting around. We've still got 30 minutes to kick around before the postal guy delivers what we need.
I better not eat anything coming from this kitchen until the cleaning lady has disinfected it.
We can also check out the back room at this stage as well. Not that that has anything in there that is of interest. We can check out all these cupboards and drawers, and the atmosphere in this game starts to build up at this point. Returning back to the door, we're still waiting around, and it's 9:36 AM, and on the normal version of the game, on the Amiga 1200, you can simply press the T key in order to advance the time, and on the CD32 version you can press the left shoulder button, the top shoulder button, and that will advance the time. Unfortunately, on the WHDLoad version, the controls are broken, so even though it plays it in NTSC, unfortunately I can't advance the time. That's a major drawback in this version, and so even though we're playing it right, we are unable to skip through the time.
This old globe is a collector's item dating back decades.
So there is precious few items dotted around this game. It's not massive, it's not amazing, and so even though the player will feel completely out of their depth at the start, there isn't much we can actually do. Let's kick around again, let's check out that time, holding the watch. It's important to hold the watch every now and again because he will wind it, and having wound the watch, it's possible to read the time. If you don't wind the watch, unfortunately, it will stop working somewhere in day 2, and so let's wait around for our first package to arrive. Even in NTSC, this animation is very jerky, particularly compared to the PC version, but we did get this on the Amiga. There are only 1 frame per second, but that back in the day was deemed enough. We've now got our first package, and so we've now got through that time critical stage. So let's speed our way back up again, because there are other things that we certainly need to do. Let's climb back up to the attic space, the loft. And you can see as the day dawns, the clarity of the images in the game will change, and so this is lighter than it was this morning. The sun is rising, and because of a colour palette swap in the game, a very clever use of the copper shading palette swapping effect, it means that every single room in the game will change in brightness depending on what day and what time it is. So it's fairly bright at the moment, but it's a grey start. So let's check out this gargoyle.
That's a gargoyle. One of those mythical creatures used to keep demons at bay.
Let's tie the rope to that gargoyle, and that is particularly handy for later on in the game because that means that we can leave the mansion. But having accomplished that, let's fast forward again back to the front door. In fact, let's fast forward again back to our bedroom because we are expecting an important telephone call.
I can't think of anyone I want to call right now.
We'll get another time critical event. That's 11 AM on day 1. The phone will ring and it will tell us another part of the scenario.
These towels have
And so if we're struggling to know what to do, we'll have to be around for that. And as long as we are in the mansion, we'll hear the phone ringing, but we'll have to make our way to the telephone pretty quickly in order to pick that up. And if we don't pick that phone up in time, we'll miss that call. So that's why we've got the pocket watch. And so 15 minutes to go now. There's nothing else we can do whilst we wait for that, except for make use of the voice speech samples which are included in the CD32 version to check out all of the corners in this creaky old mansion.
Hello?
Hello, Mike. This is Sue at the library. We have a book on hold for you, so please stop by sometime.
That's the second and the last time critical event that happens on the first day, so it means we can complete the few more puzzles that we need to do on the first day in any order without worrying about the time. And that's very important to hang around this place early on so that we can get those 2 events out of the way, and now we can take our time and check everything out in the vicinity.
Here's an old pair of wooden skis that need refinishing. An old empty steamer trunk. An old newspaper. An old deflated soccer ball.
You can see the cursor changes above things that we can look at, and hopefully we can also interact with things as well. Let's interact with this gargoyle and climb down the building, and this will be our escape route for the rest of the game. It means we can now escape into the backyard. In the backyard we'll find the garage or garage, and this means that we can check that out as well. There isn't much to investigate in here.
This car sure is old, but I think it could still be made to run.
We can also look around and press the buttons.
An old AM radio. There's a glove compartment. Doesn't appear to be locked. A real wood steering wheel.
In the glove box we find some gloves, and those gloves will come in handy a lot later on, but for now we can check out the music.
The battery still works.
But we'll still need to find the ignition key, unfortunately, and by clicking in the corner we can leave that. Now, another thing that the magazine reviewers pointed out was it's a pixel perfect pointer that finds the boot or the trunk of the car, and the trunk swings open. How is the player supposed to find that out? And it's another pixel perfect wave over that trunk in order to find the crowbar which is in it, and it's only by knowing about the trunk and the crowbar that you can actually find it. And that completely missed me by until I saw that on the walkthroughs and the live plays on YouTube. So that's not particularly easy. When I tried to open the car up, I didn't actually find that the first time around.
This must be the neighbor's yard.
This will come in handy on the second day, but right now on the first day there is precious little that we can do apart from wave our mouse pointer around. So let's escape from that and let's make our way along the path to the street in front of the house.
It's a calm neighborhood out here. My house seems somehow out of time, a relic of a dark past, or perhaps a dark future.
Crime by night. It looks like police officials are on the lookout for robbers that are happening in the darkness, and that will be relevant a bit later on because the police will suspect us of that robbery.
The road seems strangely empty and unoccupied.
For now, all we can do is make our way into town, and it's great to see the squirrels and the wildlife on some of these screens, and that makes sure that these things aren't dull.
This town looks unnaturally quiet.
We don't want to go into the police station at this point, but let's check out the market shop.
What a quaint general store with a little bit of everything for day-to-day existence. There's a bottle of soy sauce. There's a can of pitted olives. There's a bottle of cheap scotch.
There are a few items in here that we can look at, but only one of them is important. That's the bottle of scotch. So if you give the money to the guy, then you can buy from the shop.
Serve yourself, Mr. Dawson.
That's the last bottle of scotch. Boy, Delbert's gonna be mad. Hi, you must be Mike. I'm your neighbor, Delbert. Why don't we get together tomorrow? I'll meet you outside your place at 6. You're a writer, huh? I'm a lawyer by trade. Why don't you take one of my cards?
And that means we've got a business card from Delbert. Let's take a look at that. Get out of jail free. You can see Delbert is an attorney of law. So that means we've got a get out of jail free card, which we'll definitely need later on in the game. And of course, we can check out the library card as well. It's probably a good idea to load and save as well to make sure that we are absolutely saved up. And with the CD32 version, it gives us 3 slots in order to save our progress. And that library card and that phone call from the librarian is an important tip. So let's head off towards the library, and yes, it is possible if you make a phone call, you can book an appointment to see the barber, and the appointments are actually full at the moment. You have to book a phone call. And yet another joke from the PC version is this dog will come along and spray on this fire hydrant. So even though the music and the effects are very creepy and everything is very creepily drawn at this stage, At least it gives us some eye candy.
Old library. A venerable repository of knowledge. It guards its bounty behind a handsomely decorated structure. Looking at the fountain makes me very thirsty. The water feels so cool and refreshing.
And I think the graphical style in this game is well done.
This room reminds me of my study, full of leather-bound books.
And I think this was a redone version of the 256 colour PC version.
Someone has lost a hairpin.
I picked up a hairpin.
Hi, Mike. Here's the book that was put on hold for you.
And that's another clue if you want to find out what you're supposed to be doing. It says tune in to the right station to find out. To hear from the concerned friend. Well, the only radio that we found is the car radio, so that gives us a clue that we're supposed to mess around with the car radio for a clue about this game. So that's that, and we've also got the library ticket as well. So if we can find where it is, that's the library card, we can also hand that over.
This card really should be kept with the book. You'll find that one in aisle C. It's the one with the green cover.
And now by moving into this front door, the rear door leads to a viewing area where we can view little microfilms and things like that, but this area is actually the bookshelf, and it doesn't matter which of the books we click on, it will still say we found the right
The
one.
rows of books in the library stacks all look pretty much the same. I don't see anything of interest. There are a lot of musty old books which are all out of date.
Unfortunately, due to this crack putting the weight pointer in the wrong area, we can't actually see, but Tuttle is the name that we want to find. Tuttle grabbed the key to my clock and swallowed it. What a joker. Yes, pressing left above right means that we can get access to whatever that was, and Tuttle is the name that we need to remember. So there was a guy, and he swallowed the key to our clock in our living room, and he died. So unfortunately we're going to have to find the graveyard, and we're going to have to dig him up. Just like the secret of Monkey Island 2, we're going to have to dig him up and retrieve that key, and his name's Tuttle. So that's basically that. So this is coming up towards the middle of the first day. We haven't really done much, but we've collected the first few items that we need to get further in the game. Now that we've got that crowbar, we can click on the absolute pixel we need to open this trunk, and in here we can click on the absolute pixel we need to find its contents.
No use trying, it's really tight.
That isn't particularly easy. Let's see if we can do it. There's an old diary inside this trunk. Let's grab that because we'll definitely need to observe the diary. So just like the Indiana Jones games, we get Jones's diary. Let's check that out. We're now holding it, and by clicking, hopefully, again, it says, after I moved into this house, all hell broke loose and the answers are on the other side. I moved the mirror into the garage, afraid that it would attack me. When it's talking about ancients, why do they want so badly come into our world, if only, and then there's something ripped off on the bottom. So that's saying something about the mirror that we saw in the front room of the house, and it's also mentioning the garage as well, and the car seems to have some kind of significance. So what we're going to do, we're going to leave this room and let's make our way towards the next scenario. If you remember, we need to find that graveyard.
here's an entry to an old cemetery, overgrown with weeds. These archways give me a sense of foreboding. This place looks like no one has been around and tended for a long time. Molly Santini, a rich spinster who somehow managed to take it all with her. J. Poosh, may he rest in peace. R. Leibowitz, a canticle for his deeds. The inscription has eroded with time. Bobby Jacobs. Never thought you'd end up here, did you? John Campbell. Here lies a man who saw beyond time's horizon.
Let's move on to the next screen, and some of these identity graves are rather funny.
S. Nostromo.
S. Nostromo is, of course, in relation to the Alien, the movie, the original one.
Harcourt Fenton Mudd.
And Harcourt Fenton Mudd is a reference to Star Trek. JTK is James T. Kirk.
These are ancient symbols covering this mausoleum. But I'm not up on my Egyptian.
Now, if you remember to press left, first of all, and then above and right, just like we saw in the library, that should open the door, and this is Tuttle, even though the weight pointer is directly over that. That's again a bug in this version.
Or is it just my nerves? These pillars hold up the mausoleum. The names on these caskets have faded away with time. Gary Tuttle, beloved cousin. Leonard Tuttle, beloved son. Julia Tuttle, beloved mother. John Tuttle, beloved Siamese twin. Joe Tuttle, beloved butcher.
Beloved butcher, that's the one. And so here's a clock key among the ashes. So we've now got the clock key that we found. The guy swallowed it and we found the clock key. So we don't have to dig him up because he wasn't buried. So let's check out the roof of this place. Not that that does anything for us, but because we don't have anything else to do now on the first day, we've now got the key. All we can do is to check out that landscape. And the graphics were co-created by Julia Ulano, and Julia Ulano also worked on the Might and Magic 3 game in 1992.
I can just barely see my house from here.
And I can barely see my house from here. Maybe that's in a reference to I can see the pub from here, which was a Foster's advert, which was popular in the 1990s.
Sherry Days. G. Threepwood, rest in peace. There's no name on this stone. J. McKeegan.
So now that we've investigated all those graves, let's head on back, and J. McKeegan, I think it said, is definitely something that we'll have to remember. Back home again, it's the end of day one, and I don't think there is much that we need to do, but we do have that key, and that key is for the clock in this living area, so let's pull that out, see what time it is. It's now 2:36 PM on the first day, and so it's important to check out all of these items.
A masterpiece of the macabre. Its eyes follow me relentlessly. This picture is very alien to me. This grandfather clock reverberates an ancient, endless tempo. There appears to be a plaque inside.
So let's get inside the clock with the clock key that we just found. and our items are really piling up now.
These keys don't work here.
Dedicated to John McKeegan for 25 years of loyal service, which is what it should say if that pointer wasn't in the middle of it. So John McKeegan there is the name of the guy whose award it's supposed to be. So in order to get that, guess what we'll have to do? Yes, we'll have to dig him up. So he was buried, so we'll definitely have to find some way to dig him up. And this mirror is very important as well. We'll let you know if that corner turns up. Well, it will turn up on day 2, and that corner piece is definitely what we need in order to fix that mirror.
This mirror reflects a haunting image of me. This mirror is cold to the touch. A grim
if we do have the corner piece selected when that arrives via the postman on day 2, means we can use that mirror to get into the other world, which is full of aliens. But for now, we've investigated everything that we needed to and left all the doors open. We've got all these items, and now all we need to do is rest. And we can't rest, unfortunately, until it's maybe 10 PM at night, and because I can't skip time with this particular crack. Yes, I could skip time with 1.4 version, but that didn't play the game in NTSC. You can see time passes. I feel sleepy. This is what you're meant to do. You're supposed to press the time passes button.
I feel sleepy. I think I will go to bed now.
And it's supposed to go in there, and you're supposed to go in, and you're supposed to sleep. But because I didn't have the ability to pass time on this crack, then I'm having to wait around, and at 10 PM he will say, right, I'm going to bed now. That's it.
I think I will go. These nightmares have given me a mean headache.
And here we are on day 2. We wake up from another nightmare. We're still playing the same guy, Dave Haney, Mike Dawson, whatever he's called, and we still have to take the painkillers before we can do anything at the beginning of that day. We don't have to take a shower, but it helps if you do everything in the right order, so let's just do that anyway. On day 2, we'll need to wait for yet another time critical event, and the postman will arrive, I think at 10 AM, and it's only 8:30 at the moment, so what can we do? Let's head on outside, and let's also check out the garage. Remember, it mentions something about the radio, so let's go in and see what it says.
What you do in the light is reflected in the dark. Leave some doors open before crossing over.
And you must remember to switch off the music, otherwise the battery will run flat and you will no longer be able to start the car on day 3. So all these ridiculously innocent touches have to be memorised, and if you forget any one of these steps then the game will be incompletable, which is a shame because there shouldn't be so many dead ends to wade through. But we do, and so that gives us a tip that says you have to leave the doors open before you pass through, and that is referring to the secret door that we found on the first day, the secret door in the library. As long as you leave both of the doors open in the library, it should mean we can use the mirror. And Bert has found this broken shard from the mirror. Congratulations, we've now got the item that we need to fix that mirror. So having grabbed that off the postal guy, which is the first time critical event that we'll find on day 2, we've now got that, so let's head back into the front room. Let's connect that with the mirror.
An unnatural glow emanates from the chamber. Strange machines provide energy, nourishing the creatures cocooned in their sack.
We're now in Alien World, and if this reminds you of H.R. Giger, then it should do, because he was perhaps invited to work on this game and draw a few of the backgrounds. Not quite sure of the trivia, but he was definitely connected with this game at some point, and also the sequel, which never came out on the Amiga.
These look like the plans for a gruesome biological experiment on a human.
This is the library room, which is a mirror opposite of real life, so if we go through the secret door in the library, we should find, instead of what we would have found, we found another portal, and that leads to another place in this world, so let's go through that portal.
I feel like a cold wind just ran through my bones. That machinery hum sets my teeth on edge.
And finally we get to see an item that's probably the most obvious item in the entire game. That's a pair of binoculars, and I'm not sure that these things do anything except for look at the distance on this particular screen, and I think you have to do that. And then also, before we leave this screen, there is also a handle on the wall which is also practically invisible, and we'll have to pull that handle in order to progress.
There's a strange lever projecting from the side of the edifice.
Unfortunately, if we pull that handle without wearing the gloves first, we're going to die. And that means that we'll have to load up from our previous save, if in fact we have saved that game at all. And there are many places to die in this game, particularly in the alien world, and so that's definitely one of the drawbacks. You can see I had to play this game all over again to get to that same spot, and this time let's check out that lever that we can only just see being brown on brown. And if we have the gloves, so we're holding the gloves at the same time, it should mean that we can get through that without it killing us. And that means that we've now reprogrammed this teleporter, and when we jump into that, it won't kill us either. hopefully now we can make our way all the way back and all the way out as well. And this is the front door, which is now open. If we go through that front door, that is the outside.
Outside of the alien edifice. It reminds me somewhat of the front of my own house.
That's now the outside of our house, or what it would be in the alien world. And so let's not investigate anything that we shouldn't be investigating, because there are lots of things here which will kill us, and I'm not really in the mood for retrying and restarting this game all over again.
All my gut feelings tell me not to go in there. However, nothing ventured. It smells like a hospital waiting room here. Perhaps it would be safer to return home now. That's strange.
And look at that, we happen to fall over a shovel. What would we possibly do with a shovel in this game? Anybody who's played Monkey 2 will know exactly what we need to do with that shovel. And now that we've found the grave, all we can do is to dig him up. So for that, we'll need to return back to our normal world, and that means exiting this place, and we'll just check out a few of the rooms now that we're here.
Obviously engineered by creatures with a bizarre and cruel sense of humor.
And there's lots of weird things going on that we can't actually do much with at this point, so let's just leave the mirror. And finally, now that we've done that, it's also a good idea to save it up again. On this CD32 version, it's a real pain to enter the name of the save, and so that's why it says A and B like that, and that's not very helpful. But you can see this game does have some good points and some funny points, and you can see that this version of the CD32 crack does have some drawbacks as well, so until they finally get around to doing a perfect crack, this is the best thing that's on offer. Let's use the rope to leave the house, and because we're digging in graves and graveyards, the police will start to get suspicious of us, hence the newspaper on the first day, and from now on we'll have to use the rope to exit the mansion, otherwise the police will turn up at our door and arrest us, so that's definitely what you have to do. So now here we are, it's the graveyard, let's pull out that shovel and let's see what we can find. And it gives us some more clues that you can see the enemies have underestimated how strongly events in this world affect the other. Kept the keys in a safe place, I also feel that the police station is strongly mirrored in the dark world. So the police station is definitely a strong connection in the dark world, and the keys that we're looking for are actually in the cellar of our mansion. So we can't find the keys until day 3. They are in the cellar, but the pointer won't activate over the pixel until day 3.
Come here, Dawson. I want a word with you. You're under arrest, Mr. Dawson. Come with me.
What a cold and uninviting place. I never thought I'd be spending a night in here.
And for our time and our trouble, we find ourselves in a cell, and yes, even now you have to do things by the book, because there's a pillow, and if you bury something under this pillow to save it for later, then you can retrieve it for later. It's knowing those 3 items that you're supposed to leave there, which I didn't know actually playing this game, and if you put the wrong items under the pillow, you will no longer be able to retrieve them later on. So it's a gamble at this stage, and how is the player supposed to know? Well, it's trial and error, and if you haven't saved the game up at this point, then how is the player supposed to know? Well, they don't, basically. So let's hide the gloves under the pillow, and also a few more items, and some money as well, maybe. And the player doesn't really know how much this has a bearing on the game until later on, so that's why this game isn't particularly user friendly to the novice. And so we've got a cup, it seems, so if we pick up that cup, that's our escape route, and we can use that on the bars and slide that across the bars in order to get out. But unfortunately I got that wrong, so let's do it again the right way. And so if we hide the bobby pin, the hat pin, under the pillow, and we hold the gloves and we put those under the pillow, and finally the last item that we need, well, we definitely could do putting the watch under there as well, because we're going to lose the watch now for the rest of the game unless we happen to do that. But we've put the money under the pillow because that will definitely be important for later on. Before we leave, we can grab the gun out of the front office of the police station. That's the only thing that we can do here, and I think if you hang around too long they'll arrest us, and that's game over. So again, by the book, the player will only find these traps by falling over them, and that's actually not a very good thing in this game. But now that we've got those items, yes, we can return back to the mansion, and you can see at 6 PM.
Good to see you, Dawson. Follow me.
Delbert will appear, just like we agreed on the first day. He will appear at 6 PM on day 2, and that's another time critical moment. We'll have to be there to talk to him. And then he throws the stick for the dog. And if this was any other puzzler, we could just run around and grab the stick, and then the guy would get disgruntled and run away. And so that's what I tried to do, because unless you follow the walkthroughs and long plays and everything else, you'll be unable to figure out what you're supposed to do, and you'll be completely lost. What we're actually supposed to do is hand him the scotch.
Boy, that's smooth. Thanks for coming by, Mike.
Now finally we can grab that stick. Speeding that footage up, we've now got a stick. And the stick is very useful in the netherworld, of the other world, of the alien world, which we are about to go into at the moment. Again, we can't use the front door, otherwise we'll get arrested. So let's run back to that mirror, save our progress up, dive through that, hopefully arrive on the other side. You might notice the screen has a different wipe effect for every room that we enter, and that reminds me of Star Wars, and this is the room that we ended up in before. This is the prison.
Strange alien smells are rising from the half-dead creatures encased in these glassine prisons.
Where all the embryo sacs are hatched out into aliens, and if we make any more mistakes in this game, this is where we'll end up.
Experiment that appears to have gone wrong. There's an empty case, just waiting for the alien's next victim.
Now that we're here, we can now use the stick to get a bit further in the game, and we'll face some more traps and some more enemies. this screen doesn't appear obvious, but yes, we can walk around the back of it. Again, pixel perfect aiming means that we can find where we're supposed to go, and that means that the guy can walk across to the next screen, which is guided by an alien, and there's nothing you can do to get through this or get by this unless you pull out the stick and lob it into the void. And if you throw the stick at the alien, it won't do anything.
It's not a good idea to get that close to this creature.
And so Dark Seed isn't as easy to follow as The Secrets of Monkey Island or those types of games which appear to lead you by the hand. This one certainly doesn't, and it will definitely take the player many retries.
So that's where my gun went. You're going to rot for a few centuries, human.
Alien graffiti scars the walls. No one who enters here ever leaves alive.
And we've been arrested again, but luckily we managed to bury a few items under the pillow.
Doors look impenetrable, but the lock looks primitive.
So maybe it would have been a good idea to put the watch under here so that we can see what time it is. And I'm not sure if there's any time critical events on the third day, because we aren't going to get that far in this review. But what we do know is we've got the 3 main items that we need to continue the game, and by watching the long plays and the walkthroughs repeatedly and getting lost, this is it. We know that we need to give this guy something in order to get something, so let's check him out. I've no idea what we need. What do we need? The crowbar, it looks like. Oh no, the pin. That gives us an invisibility headband, which of course all aliens carry invisibility headbands, and if you don't give him the pin, then you would think it was the crowbar to get him out, but no, if you don't give him the pin, he won't give you the headband, and that's yet another illogical puzzle in this illogical game, and that's why the reviewers didn't have many good things to say about this game when it appeared on the CD32, unfortunately.
The sign over the doorway, if you could read it, would tell you this is the Dreketh Guards Recruitment Center.
This game got a high score in magazines. Amiga Format gave it 72, CU gave it 78, Lemon Amiga gave it 78, Amiga Power gave it 88, Amiga Action gave it 93, and Amiga Computing gave it 95%, which means this game, when it was released on disc, got an average score of 8.5 out of 10.
You're in the Great Archive Chamber. Many of the ancient secrets are available here for those who know how to access them.
Unfortunately, this is on a timer and we'll have to use the magic invisibility headband to get through the bottom monster, and having done that, that will run out very quickly unless we find the absolute pixel that we need to switch on this monitor, and if you don't do that quickly enough you'll get killed when you leave this room. So that's yet another infuriation in this game.
That's probably the control panel for the access screen.
Greetings, Michael. I've been sending you messages over the radio. The ancients have implanted an alien embryo into your brain. If born, this creature will destroy you and all of mankind. You must find the ancient's power source and destroy it. Also, the police in your world are under the control of the ancients. Avoid them at all costs. Hurry, and good luck.
Now they will have to leave very, very quickly indeed, and we can't stop because this thing is about to run out. And if it runs out just in front of the monster, you'll die, and you'll have to play that all over again. Luckily on this particular playthrough, it ran out just as we turned the corner, and that means we survived. And so this game got 63%, that's the CD32 version in Amiga Dream. It got 63% in Amiga Power, 70% in Amiga Computing, Amiga Format gave it 73, Amiga Action gave it 78, The One gave it 79, Amiga Joker gave it 80, Lemon Amiga gave it 82, Amiga User International gave it 82, and the CD32 Gamer magazine gave it 90%, which means the CD32 version is only worth 7.5 out of 10, whereas the normal disc version was worth 8.5 out of 10, according to the same magazine reviewers. We found the microfiche card, and that means we can go back into the back room of the library and check that out and read that. Unfortunately, the library closes at 6 PM on day 2. You can see the colour scheme is darker now because it's late in the day, and it's great that there are some technical changes on every one of these screens depending on the time. Unfortunately, we've lost our watch, so we don't know what time it is, but we do know that we have to enter and leave the mansion by the same way. And so the magazine reviewers said that they hated the pixel perfect car boot scenario, the blob on the floor which is the pocket watch, and they found the game deeply unsatisfying, comparing this to a very deeply unsatisfying game. But you can see now we don't have the watch anymore, so I feel sleepy, and as soon as we leave the attic we'll find the lamps of the main living room, and that means that we can go back now to bed. That's the end of day 2. So thank you for watching this play guide to the first 2 days out of the 3 in Dark Seed, and I hope you can get through more and find out what to do on the 3rd and final day by yourself. And thank you for watching this play guide. It's not a bad game, but there are some mega infuriances. Thank you.